Welcome to UK Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yukai Kechidori.
Welcome back on the Yokai Business Show. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the place where you get to learn from experts, people who are doing it today, who are showing others how to do it. In fact, today, I'm very privileged to be having on the show the man that I respect, the man who was with us a few weeks ago talking about leadership, and that is John Spencer. John, thank you so much for being with us here again today.
Oh, my pleasure, of course. Happy to be here.
Incredible. Now, we're continuing the subject on leadership, skills that you as a business owner needs to have if you're to continue on this path and becoming all that you want to be and achieving all the goals you need to achieve. And one of those skills is having the ability to delegate as a leader. And today we're going to be talking about outsourcing, or the use of virtual assistants, with the CEO of CEOs, and that is John Spencer. John, once again, so appreciative of you joining us on the show. For those who missed out the first introduction of who you are, what you've accomplished over the years, would you just give us a snapshot of the things you have done?
Yeah, very quickly, after graduating from university, I was hired by the Rockefellers and became CEO of one of their international foundations when I was 26 years old. We had projects running in 20 countries around the world, and I left there to take over as CEO of a large strategy and training firm. Ran that for a few years, and then when I left there, I went around for a couple of years as a stand-in CEO, running other companies where the CEO had retired early or gotten ill or was terminated, and I stepped in to take over the company. In about 1994, I went independent, and I've been a consultant, an executive coach, professional speaker, and author for the last 24 years.
Incredible. And you've been on the road sometimes like 200 days of the year, helping, business owners. Talk to us about that journey.
Yeah, I travel about 220 days a year. I think last time we chatted, I told you that I had done 9 countries last year, 2 full trips around the world. And I've got clients all over the world, Austria, Australia, New Zealand, Poland, on and on and on and on. And for many of those, I do senior team management, executive coaching, and try to work with the top people in the company to help them run their organizations more successfully.
Incredible. And one of the things that we touched about last time when we were talking about leadership, which is what this session is all about, was, a leader is one who stays focused, and on their mission, on the thing that they're good at, and let others, take care of the other things. I'm hoping that today we can expand on that. Now, having worked with so many people, John, what do you consider to be the right mindset of a leader who's going to delegate?
Well, I do a lot of executive coaching for companies all over the world, and one of the biggest complaints that I get from senior executives is they don't have enough time. Right. Which extends to not having enough time for their health, their family, their life, feeling rushed and busied and stressed all the time. So oftentimes I'm called in to help them better manage their time. And there's a few key ideas around that. First thing is they've got to lead a values-based life. They've got to be clear on what's most important to them and have the ability, and this is one of the hardest things of all, to say no to anything that does not match their values or where they don't really add value. There is really no such thing as time management. It's only priority management. Incredible. And the big thing I coach CEOs on is figure out what you're great at, what your unique gifts are, what match up with your values, then delegate away everything else you possibly can. And there's 2 key ideas on that. I just did this with an executive the other day. I said, look at your annual salary and the total revenues of your company that you're running, and then figure out roughly how much an hour of your time is worth. Wow. And anytime someone else can do something for dramatically less than your salary, that is not something that you're truly world-class at, you should delegate it away. Understanding they won't do it exactly the same way you do, and it may not be perfect, but if the outcome is still acceptable, you have to have the courage to say, let me spend my time in the areas where I really make a difference, where I have impact, and delegate away everything else you possibly can. I think you and I were mentioning this. I use virtual assistants for a lot of my work, for layout, design, for meetings, for planning, things like that. We have a full-time virtual person that works for us. I also don't do my laundry. I don't mow my lawn. I don't wash my car. It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I understand that if I spend those hours on work, I can make a lot more money in a few hours than it costs me to outsource to all those people and my virtual assistants and everybody else. Or I focus on one of my other values, like family or health or fun or contribution, so that I feel more refreshed. So that's a big, big, big idea for effective time management for CEOs.
Incredible. Now, there are people already, running businesses right now, but they're a bit skeptic about delegating to other people or to people who maybe like outside their organization. What would you say to an executive who is in that place?
That's an absolutely great question, and the answer is setting clear expectations. Most people who fail at delegate say, get this done by 3. Instead of, here's what success looks like, this is what I'm expecting as an outcome, here's how I'm going to measure success, and spending 2 or 3 minutes, depending on the importance of the project and the relationship you have with the person you're delegating and their level of knowledge and expertise, spending a few minutes, or if it's a major thing, you're asking them to do half an hour or an hour, clearly outlining specifically what you want the outcome to be. Most people don't fail because they don't have the motivation or the skills or the knowledge or the ability. They fail at delegation because they don't understand exactly what the person who's delegating wants them to achieve. So they try hard and they guess and they work hard, but the outcome doesn't get there. So it's embracing the fact that it doesn't have to be exactly the way you would do it, and then just telling the person, here's the outcome I want. And as long as it's prudent, ethical, legal, in the best interest of our customers, you figure out how to get from here to there, as long as we end up at the right place together. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the resistance I get from business owners when I talk about virtual assistant is, that's what I normally do, is what if the quality is not as great as I do it myself? Again, you answered some of it. But to an argument like that, what is your sort of like comeback to it? Well,
we've got a saying in our company, excellence but not perfection.
Right.
It depends on if the quality is high enough level. If on a scale of 1 to 10, if the project really would be successful and be just fine at a quality level of 8, but the CEO demands a 10, that's wasted time, energy, effort, and money. That extra increment of going from the 8 level to the 10 level adds no value to the total outcome.
Right.
So sometimes you just have to realize that in this particular project, I don't really need the highest level of quality. Or if I want that level of quality, I'm going to have to spend more time to find the right virtual assistant who knows me, understands me, has a level of expertise that is required. And again, I spend the time with them to be very clear in my expectations. Again, spending a half an hour to write a memo, make it clear, discuss it, so that they can go take away 5 or 6 hours of work. I'd rather invest 30 minutes in clear expectations and gain back 4.5 hours where I can work on something of super high value and let someone else do the stuff. And again, the folks listening to you, think about what your total revenues are and figure out what your total income is, divide it out by the hours you work. And if you can get somebody to do something for 25%, 15%, 20% of what your time is worth, you would be foolish to spend that time on something, because you're stealing from yourself. You're spending way too much money on something that someone else could do for a fraction of the cost and do it almost as good as you.
Wow, incredible. Now let's focus attention on those that have actually taken on the idea of outsourcing. What sort of mistakes do you see them maybe making when they start using this sort of service?
Okay, we're going to go back to, again, a little bit, not clear enough expectations, not enough communication, just dropping into someone's lap and walking away because people have questions. They want to know. You need to check in. Not verifying that the person has the full skill level that you need to actually get the project done. And then the big, and I've been out using outsourcing virtual assistants and partners and things like that for years, is going until they're not always going to fit. So you might have to go through one or two or three until you find that one that understands you, has the same work ethic, all that sort of stuff. Once you get somebody like that, never let go of them. My virtual assistant that's with us has been with us. We've got a couple, most of them 5 years, some 8 or 9. I've got a good friend that runs a large company. He's got 16 people that work for him. He's never met any of them face to face. Not one of them. He's got them in, I'm in the United States. He's got them in Florida, Arizona, California, Australia, and India, and UK, so he can follow the clock around the world. And they just hand off projects to each other. And what would normally he's a design firm, yes. Advertising firm. What would normally take someone else a week to 10 days to get done, he can always get done in a day. And it's absolute great quality, and it's a lower price than I would pay for someone locally to spend 10 days on it. So why would I spend, let's say, $1,000 on something that takes 2 weeks when I can spend $600 on something I can get within 24 hours and the quality level is equal?
Amazing. I can tell you, just like you, some of my team have been with me for 7 years now, and they absolutely love what they do, and I love their work. You create like a family relationship, really, because they know what you're trying to do, and they're able to deliver on that, which is incredible.
Yeah, once you get a really good person that you're working with, they anticipate your needs, they handle stuff. We've got a person, again, this one's interesting, that lives in our town, but I only see her about once every 4 months. And she's away on vacation right now, but still she's checking her text and her email a little bit, making sure our most important projects are moving forward. But when I'm on the road, like you said, 220 days a year, while I'm in the air flying someplace, she's handling memos, getting back to clients, setting up phone calls, checking my reports and emails because I can't spell it all. So all that stuff that is really, frankly, I'm on an airplane learning, doing stuff, getting ready to deliver a big program or work with an executive. I need to be focused on that, not on spell checking one of my emails.
Indeed. Moving on to another subject, suppose you now have got this virtual assistant, or you're in outsourcing for the very first time. You and I understand you have to set a culture, set expectations. How did you go about training your virtual assistants to the way you want things done? What sort of process did you use?
2 things is I showed them a lot of my past work. So when I write a report to a client, every time I have a call with a CEO or something like that, I do a call recap immediately. And I take my notes and dictate it in. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking, and I just speak to my computer, which means there's grammar and spelling errors, but I'll send them several of those to look at what they're supposed to look like. Then for the first few times, I will have them check it back with me. I'll send them one, have them work on it before it goes to the client, send it to me, I'll give them feedback, get it correct. So I'm making a little investment of time. But right now, I have not had to check a client recap call email in 3 years. I dictated, I didn't even worry about the grammar or the spelling or the punctuation. I just send it to her, and I never look at it again. It shows up in the files for the client, perfect. And then the client goes back and forth with her, so I don't have to spend any time on, adjusting it or formalizing. So that takes it takes me 10 minutes after a phone call to do a recap, and it used to take me 2 to 3 hours.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a classic example of for the little amount of money I invest in that outsourcing, I can spend the next 2.5 hours lining up a new client, working on a new book, doing something like that, calling a customer, building my business. And it's been very simple for me. I can look at it and see that, let's say, and I'll use a round number here, with all my outsourcers and everything else, we probably spend $75,000 a year on different people to help with different things. I can make that back in a month with our company, with our clients. So my payback is the other 11 months of the year, the other 10 months of the year, it's all profit. I've already paid for all the outsourcing for the entire year. So all the rest of that time, they're basically working for free and freeing up all that time. It's a great, great investment for our company and the other CEOs I work with.
Incredible. Not only that, you increase your productivity, immensely, beyond what you can imagine when you go into it. Now, managing your virtual assistant, how do you go about doing that for those who are listening and thinking of doing this for the first time?
We very clear. I send at the very beginning. Because I'm a visual learner, I send them a long document, 2 or 3 pages long, outlining the culture of our company, our vision, what our clients are like, what we're trying to achieve, the level of excellence we demand, what kind of interactions we want, the fact that the client's always right, don't argue, don't push back. If there's an issue, run to the problem, and then come and tell us, we'll fix it together. So, and I usually spend some time on the phone with them at the very beginning, chatting, talking, getting to know each other, things like that. But many of the virtual assistants I've used across the world, I have one initial phone call with them, and then I don't talk to them actually voice to voice ever again. We do everything via email or text or something like that. So to me, it's really investing that time up front to get to know each other, to talk, and to make sure that you got a good feel for each other and you like each other, and you've got some similar values, similar family background, things like that. So there's a personal connection. And once I've established that personal connection, it becomes 90% a business connection. Like, I've sent some nice notes and stuff to our virtual assistant who's away on her Easter vacation, and we chat back and forth, and I ask her how her son's lacrosse team is doing and how they're, are they enjoying their time at the beach, and she sends me pictures and stuff. But again, I don't speak with her, but this particular one I talk to a little bit more, but other ones I don't speak to them at all during the year on the phone.
Wow, it's incredible, absolutely incredible. And you are adding value to them, creating a lifestyle for them, definitely. Well, one of the things I get asked a lot when we introduce virtual assistant, is security issues. To any business owner who is concerned about security issues, what's your take on that?
Well, 2 things. First of all, we don't, what's the word I want to use here? Delicate information that we have, I don't put through virtual assistants. Right. The really, really, financial information and things like that, unless it's somebody like the one woman we have that's been with us for years, that's a very trusted partner, and the one that lives in our town but works virtually. She has access to everything. But other folks, I don't send the most delicate stuff through, or we contract through a non-disclosure agreement, and we add it as part of it that the information that we share with them can't be shared with anybody else. And most of the virtual assistants I've worked with have no problem with that whatsoever. I've never had an issue in 20 years in business with someone sharing, proprietary information. I will tell you that there's not much that I do that is super proprietary. Really, it would only be the financials of our company, and we rarely share that information with somebody else. They know what we charge. They know about billing. They know about what our clients, interactions are, but total financials are not open to our virtual assistants.
Incredible. We do the same here at World Outsourcing Solutions. We separate that, and there's also a non-disclosure. Now, it's impossible to talk about, outsourcing or virtual assistant without considering trust. You have an incredible level of trust in your team. Talk to me about how you generate this and create loyalty from your team. What do you do?
Well, two things is we build that trust up over time, and I do a lot of thanking them for great work, telling them when they do something special or innovative, when they take a chance or a risk and do something on my behalf and it's excellent. I thank them and say, hey, I never would have thought of that. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it. Keep doing those sort of things. And then also I try to give them exposure to bigger and more interesting projects, so that to keep them motivated if they want to try something new or different or interesting. Again, I look at a quadrant when I think about delegation.
Right.
If something is, and this is actually a decision-making matrix in strategy, and it's on a scale of high impact, low impact, high probability, low probability. If something is high probability and high impact, there's a high probability that something could go wrong and it would have a huge impact on my business. I never delegate that. That's a decision for you to take yourself. If it's high probability, low impact, low to medium, then I look at how bad the results would be if something went wrong, and I'll often delegate that to someone that as a learning experience. You try this, there's a good chance it's going to fail. If it fails, nobody dies, don't worry about it. And it's another way to show them trust. If this blows up, it's only going to cost us $1,000. It's not the end of the world. If it's high impact but low probability, so in other words, it would really be bad, but there's a small chance it'll happen. That's where I do oversight, where I go, okay, you handle it, but check back with me a lot. Because if something starts to go wrong, I want to be able to jump on it. But there's very little chance something will go wrong. So you take it until we see that something isn't working the way we want to, then contact me immediately. Yes. And if it's low probability, low impact, there's a low probability anything could go wrong. And even if it didn't work, delegate all of that away. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. So when you look at that now, that means that only 2 places am I involved in a decision or a project. High probability, high impact, it's too important and too risky, I have to handle it. Or high impact, low probability, I just need to keep an eye on it. The other 2, give them away, never touch them, don't worry about it. It can't hurt your business even if something goes wrong. And on the low probability, low impact, there's no reason in the world for you to not delegate it immediately.
Outstanding, John. This is outstanding. In fact, from what you're saying, we can see why you've been successful over a long period of time. It's incredible. One of your formula for success, talent plus culture plus extreme customer focus, disciplined execution equals to business excellence. Where does outsourcing come into that formula of success that you use a lot?
I would say it's in 3 areas. I want the top talent in someone that works for me, whether it's a partner, a vendor, a virtual assistant, someone on my team. They have to be extremely customer focused. And for all of them, there's 2 customers. Your virtual assistant, you are the customer. I am their customer, but I also trust them to take care of my customers. So it's a little bit more challenging. They've got to make me happy by making my customers happy. And then disciplined execution is the idea that that's who I give stuff to get stuff done so I don't have to worry about it. I have a little bit of a unique talent, which is when I delegate something to somebody I trust, it ceases to exist in my brain. I just don't think about it anymore. It's like it never happened because I know it'll get done. That's one of the reasons that when you look at time management for any kind of an executive, it's setting your priorities and focusing on all the places you have impact, and then making sure that everything in your calendar, all your to-dos and everything is captured someplace electronically, so you don't have to worry about losing a slip of paper or a sticky note or something like that. And again, my virtual assistant controls my entire calendar. I don't touch it. Everything, like this morning I had a doctor's appointment. They gave me another appointment for a year out from now. It's my dermatologist. I just sent her a note. April 2nd, 2019, 10:15 a.m. Please put on the calendar. I have to go to the dermatologist. Then I take the piece of paper and throw it in the garbage can. I will not think about it until April 2nd, 2019. And I do that on my entire calendar. You and I, we didn't talk until we got on one of these things. You're a virtual assistant, my virtual assistant, set everything up, sent the emails, put it on our calendars, sent the invites, told me that I needed to meet you on Skype. Then we'd go to, I didn't have to know anything. And literally today, I didn't think about this until 5 minutes before we were supposed to get on the call, because everything's handled by other people. And once it's handled, I don't have to think about it anymore, which is a huge stress reliever. It's captured someplace electronically. It's monitored by my values and my impact, and everything else is taken care of. So I can focus all my time, energy, effort on either things that are professionally important to the business or personally important to me as an individual.
Outstanding. Absolutely incredible. John, you are nailing it. One of the things we spoke about in the previous conversation we had was leadership. And we touched on this very briefly. I would like to explore it today, of how leadership has changed over the last 5 to 10 years. And, where outsourcing comes in and how business owners can really, based on the previous exchanges, take a very big leap forward.
Okay, well, I've been doing this, as I said, about almost 25 years. If you look back about 15, 18 years ago, most leadership was command and control. Do as I say, not as I do. If you do the research at all, it's theory X, theory Y. But basically, leaders, quote unquote, just told people what to do. Get this done by this date, shut up and do it. Very militaristic. Then the pendulum swung way over for many years to management by numbers. Everything was spreadsheets, profitability, EBITDA, how much money were we making, and people weren't people anymore, they were headcount.
Right.
I need to reduce headcount by 20%. In other words, go fire 20% of our people, but they didn't see them as people. Now we come back a lot to, we've come to the middle of an area called servant leadership. Or authentic leadership. And that's really, really the focus right now. And I see this across organizations everywhere I'm working, that people understand. And here's the big idea of how it relates to this is, if you want to attract the top talent, whether it's in person or virtually, they need to feel like they're doing challenging work. They're working in a cool company with cool people. They've got people they can interact with. They're doing something important and meaningful. And they're treated fairly and with respect. So, and we see a huge shift now that people want lots of flexibility and freedom. They want to be able to work out of their house, out of Starbucks, on the beach. Well, to give you an example, our assistant right now is on the beach today with her family. And, we told her, unless it's an emergency, we don't need any help this week. We've got it handled. But she's on the beach, and it doesn't matter to our progress at all. So if you want to attract really good people, they're going to demand lots of freedom, lots of flexibility, the ability to do their work from anywhere in the world. And years ago when I ran the Rockefeller Foundation here's what I told my people. I don't care if you come in the office. I don't care when you do your work. All I know is when the work is due, it better be world class. If you want to go surfing all day today because the weather's nice, my place is in Florida, go surfing all day and work all night. But if the report is due on my desk at 3 p.m. on Friday, I want it on my desk by 3 p.m. on Friday, and I want to be wowed by the quality of the work. As long as those two things happen, I don't care about anything else. Work when you want to, from where you want to, whatever you want to do, on time, world class, we're fine. And that's the same way we run it now. And if you look at the best people, that's the way they want to be treated now. Just give me the freedom, give me the respect, let me go do the work, let me do it from wherever I want to. I'll turn it in on time, and I promise it'll be great. I'm fine with that.
Wow, it's interesting that you're raising this, because we are doing a series on leadership, and this is becoming very prevalent all across board here in the UK. Now, for those leaders who are still holding tight to the different type of leadership, those two leadership styles you spoke, are not yet into authentic leadership or are finding it difficult to slide into it, what's your advice to them?
Well, you know what that is? It's and I did a big research study on this.
Yes.
More than 10,000 top employees of companies around the world. And I asked them what they looked for and the leaders they were willing to follow. And one of the big one was courage. They wanted their leader to be courageous, to be able to make tough decisions and take big decisions and be bold and take risks. But what they said is the most important thing is we want our leader to be courageous enough to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to not pretend they know everything, because we know they don't. Things move too fast. Competition moves too fast. Technology moves too fast. If you try to tell everybody that you know how to make all the decisions, you know how to do everything, everybody needs to follow you, the really smart, talented people will leave because they know you're lying. And they know that if you take too much tight control, you will likely, not always, but likely run the company into trouble, because you won't be able to keep up with the marketplace. So what we see now is great people demand an authentic, and I'm not saying you're vulnerable, I don't know how to do this, but 90% of the time you're strong, you're making tough decisions. 10, 15% of the time you put up your hand and go, I have no idea how to do this. That's why I hired you. I need your help. You know, with some of my virtual assistants, I have no idea how to do what they do. I don't understand how they design stuff, lay stuff out, put stuff in Excel spreadsheets, way beyond my expertise. So I'm vulnerable enough to say, I don't know how to do this. Can you do this for me? And do it any way you need to do it, as long as the outcome is great. I don't care, because I don't know how to do this.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. John, we are so thankful that you have given us such a great time. Now, for those who wants to, get in touch with you or maybe use some of your services, I know you do speaking as well. Where can they find you?
It's pretty simple. My website with all the information about me is johnspence.com, johnspence.com. And then if anybody has a question or follow-up or needs to know something, my personal email is john@johnspence.com. And if you send me a note there, I'll either return it quickly or you'll talk to my virtual assistant, Mercedes, who will set everything up.
Incredible. Well, there you have it. John Spence, the CEO of CEO, as I call him. The man has personally helped me, and I'm sure as a business owner, he will also help you if you, looking for some guidance in leadership. And most importantly, if you are running, an event where executives gather together, John is your man to go to. John, I never want to leave without asking you the final questions. What's the right mindset right now for leaders who wants to reach their highest goal?
Don't just embrace risk. Change, drive change. Drive change. There's an equation I use, II greater than EI, which says the rate of internal innovation must exceed the rate of external innovation. For leaders that want to succeed in the next 5 to 10 years, you have to be a fanatic for lifelong learning, for driving change, for keeping up to date, because technology, the marketplace, the internet are going to continue to disrupt businesses around the world. And only the leaders that are agile and adaptable and excited about change are the ones that are going to be successful.
Outstanding. There you have it from John Spence himself. A legend in my eyes. Appreciate that, John. Any questions, do click the link below and you'll be taken to John's website, or send us an email. John will be able to respond to that, or we'll be able to respond to that. With that said, wish you all the best and do implement some of this. I've been taking notes frantically here as John was speaking, because these things are helping me as a business owner. I'm sure they're helping you as well. John, thanks again for being on the show with us here today.
My honor. Absolutely my honor. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to UK Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.ukbusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18, or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.